say that instead of moving down and being on the bottom, they just move out and sit down?
I don't know. I can't answer that question, or I can't say what they would do. What I can say is, if you're trolling a bar and you come off that 20-foot weed line, if you're making your straight line passes like you're supposed to, and you come off the end of that bar, if there's a fish suspended out there, your bait, your lure is in position to catch that fish. If that fish is clear out there, way out there, you're not going to catch him anyway.
I was wondering if we pick up a lot of suspended, right off a weed point or something without deep water.
Yeah. Well, like I say, when your lure comes off of that weed line, if you're trolling correctly, if you run a straight line pass and you come off that weed line and you keep going straight, don't turn, then your lure's in position to catch that fish. You know as well as I do how many times you come off a point, walk off a point, and just keep going, and you're a pretty good distance away, and boom, you catch a fish. And you've done things right.
And everybody thinks they're chasing it.
Yeah, well, who knows? You know, Buck knows. He don't. He knows. He's got the experience.
He also says that when fish are in sanctuary and they become active, they may or may not move
That's
towards
right.
the shallows. So you could be, fish that are moving in place. I mean, if they're in, who knows where sanctuary is? But if sanctuary is there's a 25-foot break right here, and this fish is below the lip, and he's out here 10, 15, 20 yards, and he can see this contact point from where he's at. When he becomes active, he don't go over here by rocket. He swims over, so he's active. You get a chance at him. But the problem with it is, if you mark it off and try to go back to where they are, they've already moved up on structure, and here you are out there where he was. And I've done that plenty. We've proved it over and over and over again that I can fish wrong.
Usually that happens when a crowd gets with you, don't it? You got out there fishing, and some guy catches a 6-pound smallmouth on a 500.
Back over there.
And we don't catch nothing. It makes you scratch your head. But that's a nice thing about having a bunch of people
I got this
around.
drawing pool doing this.
We talk about fishing deep water a lot. When those fish are out there in deep water on those deep break lines, they're out there because they're mostly inactive. But when they do become active and may not move towards the shallow, they may not move any shallower. A spoon plug troll on the bottom is the proper thing to be doing at that time. When they're not active, then you probably aren't going to catch them anyways. But you have to be prepared to go out there and check that out. You have to practice doing it because you have to be prepared. You may have to go out there and do that. So it's important to go out and spend some time working the deep water, the deeper breakers. You should fish some clear water to find out how tough it is. But you shouldn't live on it, You have to fish some of the clear lakes to find out how tough they are. That's all part of spoon plugging, is learning.
Tawas Bay and Zebra Muff clean that bay off. We used to get in there and just kill everything humongous starting the middle of June. Now it's so crystal clear. In September it's still crystal clear.
You think the fish are no longer there?
They're there, but I don't know if they move at night or they only move for about 20 minutes.
Have you seen any fish out of the lake?
Oh yeah, you can
Are they
see
starving to death?
No, they're about the fattest fish you ever seen in your life.
Then you can catch them.
That is hard. There's cousinets, big rice wheat patches all over the place and never even used to be there.
They get big because they eat. If they eat, you got a chance.
You're going to have to do some more work.
Faster speed.
See, that's the thing that you've got here more than you've got any place else. Zebra mussels coming in and everything. Yes, we can go to Hess Lake. Yeah, we can go to 2 or 3 lakes around the area. But there's hundreds of lakes around here that have got a bigger population of fish that are clear. So you've got to work those lakes out as far as I'm concerned. You've got to do something to work those lakes out.
Then it's going to take you that much longer to get better. Bottom
Get better
line,
doing what?
to be a better spoon plugger, to
Why
become.
would you be? No, let's question that. What? Because I'm a better spoon plugger that I catch fish at 10 or 12 feet, or I'm a better spoon plugger because I learned how to fish deeper and can catch fish?
Marines say you adapt.
Pardon me?
Marines say you adapt.
Yeah. But we've got to change. There's something happening that there's got to be a change here at some time. We're having to change.
If
whether
you
we
got
want it or not.
if you got a lake and it's 10 miles this way, 10 miles this way, and the aggregate area is 80 miles of shoreline, and this lake has real good water color, and the fish are using a 10-foot break line for many, many years.
Let me interrupt for a second.
To when you had the yellow-green watercolor stay at 12 feet deep. Now all of a sudden you've got zebra mussels in the lake or whatever, or you got hydrilla or whatever, and it clears the lake up. Now all of these fish now are staying down here at 35 to 40 feet deep. Don't you have a bigger concentration of fish in a smaller area?
I would think so.
All right, so legitimately, would it take you less time to locate fish in the deeper water when they're more concentrated in a bathtub, or would it take you harder time to catch them when they're in 12 feet?
Well, that's the question. That's really the question I'm asking is that, we talk about, and we got the problem now, where we were catching fish at 10 or 12 feet, 15-foot was, a 15-foot break line was a good break line. Now a 15-foot break line is not necessarily a good break line. It's a 25-foot break line.
Drop them down with them.
So you got to go down with them.
Yeah,
Right.
you do. You do.
And then you got to worry. Well, we have to be careful because when we talk about 10 or 12 feet, that blows everybody's mind, and that we don't go any deeper. That's what I was trying to bring out, is that there are cases when we have to get down deeper than the 10 or 12 feet. 10 or 12 feet is an ideal condition, and I agree with that 100%. I think that the fish that you can catch at 10 or 12 feet are great when they're there. But there is a lot of movement going on at the 25-foot, as you just spoke about. It may not only may come up to 20 feet. And you've got those conditions here in this lake.
You got equipment that'll take you right there
That's
too.
exactly right. And that's what I was talking
All,
about.
we fish darker lakes because everything is easier.
No, there's no doubt about
The
that.
fish
I
are
don't question that.
are bigger. They're more plentiful. And that's why we do it.
Well, the walleyes we used to get here in this lake, we could figure on walleyes around 15 foot. And during the daytime, whatever unit you're using. Now you're talking about 25 foot.
Mr. Perry used to talk about he would come to Tennessee and come to Alabama and fish what we call our mountain lakes. And these are clear lakes. It's it's 150, 200, 300 feet deep. They don't have watercolor. And he would fish all day long and stay with it all day long and not have any movements. And then somewhere around 11 or 12 o'clock at night, he would continue on fishing. And then at 18 and 20 on a 700, he's catching fish and bop, 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 bop. Because the movement occurs an hour to hour and a half after dark. He'd then put his spoon plugs in his pocket and go to another town because he knew that the difficulty of teaching the local people this and what would take place. Legitimately, there were movements that were taking place during the daytime, but he would have to drop down to 35 to either hit 35, 32, 34, 35 foot deep, or drop them down and catch them at the next level. And for him to sell lures, for him to spread spoon plugging, for him to do business, he couldn't do it. But legitimately, there's no difference in except there's more difference in difficulty for the spoon plugger. But that's the better challenge. I mean, once you found how to catch fish at 10, 12, 14 feet deep, and the next thing you know, you want to catch bigger fish, and you figure bigger fish are deeper, you drop to that, and the next thing you know, you start going out when you know a cold front's coming through to give yourself even more of a challenge and find out where the fish are going. I mean, that's what it's all about.
A new spoon plugger, a young spoon plugger should learn how to do it on the darker water first.
Absolutely.
Then go to check it out. I'm not saying never fish clear lakes. I don't mean that. It may sound like it, but I don't mean that. But you got a new guy has to learn on an easier lake.
I agree with that.
And then broaden your knowledge.
Gives them the enthusiasm to go and do what they got to
Right,
do.
right. The confidence. It gives you
Success
confidence.
right. Okay. Fine. I agree with that 100%.
If
I just wondered
anything,
if you guys are doing
legitimately,
any deep fishing, that's all.
Sure we are.
if anything, legitimately, a clear lake, it ought to be easier to catch bigger fish in because they're more concentrated, but it should be easier to catch them when they're active, but there should be less activity periods. But when it happens, and it's at 45 feet deep, it's just one right after the
I
other.
love a 25-foot weed line.
I don't. If you go out there and mark that weed line, that's fine. I don't want to mark it.
You ever caught a school of big bass on a 25-foot
No,
weed
sir.
line?
But I
Okay,
don't
that's
fish-
my point.
I
That's
don't
my
fish
only
that.
point.
That's the one fish that I probably don't fish a lot of is bass.
Okay, you should be over there fishing the daylights out of Haslett.
Oh, I fish hay, that's right. I've never caught any bass on it, but I fish it. Lots of northerns. I've been there with other guys come. And I like to fish. It's about boring like to fish, but I like to fish.
You know, we was pretty bored last year.
It could be boring. There ain't much to fish. but
When they're not going-
What there is, man, can be awful exciting
That's right,
sometimes.
that's right.
It's hard work. It's all hard work.
Oh, yeah.
But man, there's just so much satisfaction out of it.
There's no doubt
You know,
about
it's all great satisfaction. We got Buck over here to thank for everything,
it. That's right.
all of it. That guy never gets enough credit. He is the man.
You gonna tell us why you bent that lure?
It ain't bent. It's not bent.
Run to the right. What do you expect? Look at that lip. That lip is bent. It's been customized.
I never bent one in my life.
Debbie, she wants to
I didn't do it. I did not do it.